Alright, and here we go. So first thing we're going to do is go to the item shop and we're going to buy ourselves a hammer. Why are we buying that hammer? Because through the magic of the equipment glitch, we can turn that hammer into an item called Knight's Armor. Knight's Armor, we're only making 5 sets. It is very overpowered for this point in the game. We usually cannot get till much later because it's expensive and we have to get it later. Also, it can usually only be equipped by the warrior at this point. We will be putting 1 set on every character and making a 5th set just to sell to get items. So that will fund our early run. We're going to sell the other 4 sets of armor later in the game to fund the rest of the run. The way the equipment glitch works is pretty interesting. Every item and every piece of armor in the game has basically a number assigned to it in an equipment table. All the armors have 1 table, all the weapons have another one. So if you have a memory cursor turned on, you're on the weapon slot for 1 character, and move to an armor slot of another character, or vice versa, you can select the equipment list while paging to the other character. Within a couple frames, it will actually bring up the item IDs for, say, the weapon on the first character and the armor slots for the other characters. So in this case, the ID number for the hammer is the same as for the knight's armor, so we're able to trick the game into allowing us to equip knight's armors on any armor slot for any character. We'll be using this extensively throughout the run. We will not be putting much on the shield slot until later in the run, because most items in the shield slot, due to the parry animation, can cause a soft lock if the character parries. There's a few safe items later in the game we will be equipping. So Leno got off to a good start here. He's up here fighting Chaos, who is the first, and actually Garland, who was the first and last boss of the game. He also swung by, picked up a leather hat, just like Kib is, to pick up some judgment staves. They are a very late game item that we'll be using for our weapon for the early part of the run, because it's more powerful than anything else we can get in the game. And once again, the leather cap can be switched into the judgment staff. The judgment staff is usually only obtainable in some of the bonus dungeons at the end of the game, and it has another little use we'll see here in a little while. I don't want to spoil it. Now, as far as the importance of this race goes, Kib is through the group phase. She will be making the brackets regardless. She has 3 wins and 0 losses so far. But currently, Leno is tied for the 2nd position out of his group. And if he wins today, he will move on. If he loses, it will actually be a 2-way tie, and it will come down to the average time between him and the other runner. The average time for the other runner is, I believe it is 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 50 seconds. The current average time for Leno in this is 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 50 seconds. And to make things more fun, I am that other runner. So this race is actually going to determine my tournament standings as well as Leno's. Meanwhile, Leno's going through this bridge cutscene. It's one of a few cutscenes in the game. There's not a lot of them, but they are mostly unskippable. The only ones that can be skipped are the ones that actually exit the game engine to play like a little movie. And we'll be seeing one of those in just a minute on Leno's screen here. So Kib is having a little trouble over on Garland's side because she did not actually equip the judgment staff, so she's trying to use the knives to defeat Garland. It's making things take a while for her. So this is going to be a big time loss for her. And she is through Garland. Meanwhile, Leno's having to deal with some wolves here. Wolves are our least favorite enemy in the early section of the game. They have a high speed, meaning they typically get their turns before your characters can get the chance to run. They're also just generally difficult to run from. They tend to attack in large groups, and an ambush from them can be especially aggravating. But Leno here gets a preemptive and is able to run instantly. So Kib fixing her judgment staves there. And Leno is into Provoca, where he will be fighting a group of pirates. First, he's going to swing by the armor shop here. He's going to buy himself a... Oh, he's going to sell some gear. And going to buy himself a leather shield. He's also going to pick up some ethers here at the item shop. And the mage's staff he just equipped on his thief from the equipping from the leather shield will come up a little later. But first, we're going to see the other use for the judgment staff. Oh, he's going to use the mage's staff first. Okay. That's why he did the glitch early. So the mage's staff there can cast Fira or Fyra for free. Equipment magic in this game, item magic, is a little different than other Final Fantasy games later in the series. Most of them, when you use the item, it like breaks like your fire rod or your ice rod or what have you in later games. In this game, it actually is not consumed. So we are able to cast high-level spells early in the game for free as much as we want. We still won't be doing it a lot because the animation times on them can be long. We do prefer to run if we can. But the reason we did Mage's Staff there is because it's a little faster than what most people do is the Barbarian Staff, the Judgment Staff, which is the most powerful spell in the game, Flare, but it has a animation time of about 8 seconds. Alright, so Kib there using the Judgment Staff. So he did significantly more damage, but the Mage's Staff wasn't enough to do the job. Now, the reason Kib went ahead and used the Judgment Staff was there is a chance that those pirates will drop a free leather shield and skip having to go to that item shop. So you would then save the time walking to and from that item shop for only the cost of 4 extra seconds of the animation. Alright. Leno is on his way down to the Marsh Cave. We do like the Marsh Cave because it tends to be fairly low encounter area. And he gets ambushed. That would be my fault. So here you get 2 characters paralyzed. Paralysis is a very dangerous status in this game. It will not kill your characters, but if you get all 4 characters paralyzed, it can take a very long time to get out of it. We call it being paralocked or stun-locked, and it can end your run. And so Kib got back a lot of time there. And you'll notice in the healing there, Leno did not heal up his Thief and his Warrior to full. That's because later in the run we will need them to be dead for a brief grinding session. And so we keep them under about 60, 70 hit points throughout the run if we can, so that they can die in one attack later in the game. Alright, and here Leno is going to be fighting our first Spike encounter. That's a spike tiles are where you have enemies that will always be there, unavoidable. And it's going to be Pisco Demons. We defeat them and have access to the crown. The whole early section of the game here, we are trying to get out into the western part of the world. To do that, we need to blow an earthen dam up with some nitro powder. To get that nitro powder, we have to access the chest with it, which is behind a door locked with a mystic key. The mystic key is held by the Prince of Elfheim, who is currently in a coma. Needs to be woken up with an item called the Jolt Tonic. The Jolt Tonic is held by a witch named Matoya, who needs her crystal eye returned to her in order to be able to see and give you the item. That crystal eye is held by the Dark Elf King Astos, who will only reveal himself if you give him the crown that we just picked up. And no, UnDTG, I guess? UnDTG? There is no encounter manipulation in this game. Encounter luck is the big variable that kind of determines a lot of this game. You can have a 10-minute swing in times between two runs, sometimes just from random encounter luck. Not only the number of encounters, but the type of encounters. As you saw earlier with Leno, with that ambush and some paralysis and failed runs, you can lose a lot of time to one bad random encounter. So it makes the game frustrating sometimes to grind out PBs once you've gotten pretty good at the game, but it makes it excellent for races because a fairly novice runner and a top tier world record holder can actually have a fairly close race. It's not a foregone conclusion. So makes for some exciting races. And even as it is, as I said earlier, Leno and I, currently our average times are tied to the second for this tournament. So we can get a lot of excitement here. Alright, here we're at the Astos fight. Astos has a high chance of casting Death his first turn. He did not. So this should be a pretty quick Astos fight. Now, it looks like the Thief and Warrior are healed to full, so at some point Leno's going to have to deal with that. Most likely going to have to do something to get those characters loaded on hit points. If they get poisoned, he may leave them poisoned. If not, he may have to walk around on some damage tiles later on in the run. And Kib is coming up here on the Astos fight pretty soon. Made up a lot of time in that last little bit between, mostly due to Leno's encounter luck. Alright, so now we're working our way back to the ship. We'll talk a minute about the party we use. We have a warrior, thief, a black mage, and a white mage. That is not a random selection. That is the optimal selection for this run. Unlike other versions of the game, the thief is actually excellent in this category. Because of the glitch we'll be doing, we're going to be able to get some very high-level weapons that the Thief/Ninja usually cannot get in the game. And then the most important factor for a character's damage output, well, it's actually their speed stat. Their speed stat causes them to get more hits in per attack. The Thief has the highest ability to do that, So the Thief, actually, by the end of the game, will be our primary damage dealer. The Warriors in the party partially do damage, but mostly because the equipment glitch requires that whatever character initiates the glitch be able to equip the item required for the glitch. It just so happens that most of the items we use in the early game do require or several of them in the early game for damage, require the warrior to be able to equip the item initiating the glitch. The Black Mage is in the party, both for the spell Teleport and for the spell Haste, and some early on uses of magic items. He will have a high intelligence than other characters, giving him more magic damage. And the White Mage is in the party strictly, pretty much, for the final battle. We need her healing ability. We will be very underleveled in the final battle when we need her every turn to heal our party. So Leno's coming up pretty soon on Matoya's cave while Kib is getting on the boat and heading that direction. A brief little cutscene here, and we have some brooms. We need to take note of those brooms. It's pretty rare, but those brooms can get in your way and block your path out, and it can be very frustrating. It's usually not a major time loss, but it can be very frustrating. And with as close some of the races have been recently, it would be scary to have any kind of time loss. So Kib, unfortunate encounter here. Having a wolf ambush is the worst thing you can have, other than parallaxed early in the game. So Leno's now on his way back to Elfheim, where we're going to be seeing a few little optimizations and another equipment glitch. So we're going to go talk to the healer and wake up the Elf Prince here. And then for the next item we need for the equipment glitch is at the top right side of the castle. It actually, the quickest way to get to the top right of the castle in this case is to go outside of the castle on the left side. Because the time spent walking back to the entrance would just be wasted if you just leave the castle, come right back in. So we're going to see him walk out right here. Then walk back in and warps him across the castle. He's able to come up and pick up the Mithril Hammer. The Mithril Hammer can be used to create the Thieves Armlet. So the Thieves Armlet is very, very useful. It increases our speed, or agility, rather, by 5. So by stacking that on 3 slots on every character, we were able to increase each character's agility by 15, giving them earlier turn orders usually, and giving them better odds of running from battles. And for most of the game, we will be using that strategy. We want early turns, and we want to be able to run from battles. We're also coming back into the Elfheim Village, to the item shop. We're going to pick up some gold needles. Gold needles are simply a safety item. There are some enemies later on in the run that can petrify our characters, and petrification can only be dealt with by our party with gold needles. Can't use a tent or anything like that, as far as I'm aware. So petrification is actually worse than death for our characters. So Leno getting some of that time back. Kib has not had a great last couple of minutes. But it's still... The race is not over until Chaos dies. So Leno picking up the mithril knife there, that is useful later on to make some black robes, which is also used for their item magic. And picking up that nitro powder. So now we can go visit the dwarves and blow open a canal into the western part of the world. Just minor optimizations, you may notice Leno there moved his cursor down to the warrior's glove slot before exiting that menu. That's because that is the slot that will be used for the next item glitch. So just getting that ready. So Kibetha having a little trouble with the item menu. I don't think realized she accidentally, there we go, had actually equipped the mithril hammer on the warrior and was having trouble getting it off. Usually at this point when I do that, he's trying to she's trying to put the judgment staff back on. Since it's not actually needed as a weapon at this point, usually when this happens, I go ahead and just equip a knife or something in that slot just to allow me to do the glitch again more quickly. Kibetha having some real trouble with this item menu. I think she's a little confused about what's going on. She may not realize that hammer is on the weapon slot for the white mage, and therefore she cannot use it for the glitch because it's already equipped. Right, while that was going on, Leno did do the most important thing of the game. He got barbarian swords equipped on several of his characters. That gives him the most powerful weapon in the game. It's usually a weapon reserved for very late game. Actually, you have to defeat the hardest version of the hardest post-game super boss exclusive to the PSP edition. So by the time you can usually get that weapon, you don't need it because you can beat any boss in the game. But what it gives us is a sword that is about 3 times as powerful as Excalibur is in the normal game. So Leno there was reorganizing his items so that in later menus, item menus, he'll be able to choose his magic items more quickly, depending on his situation. Some enemies are weak to ice, some are to fire, some need the Judgment Staff, and some will need electrical magic later on. He's just trying to put his items near each other in the menu so it's quicker to activate them. Leno's on his way to fight the vampire in our first trip into the Cavern of Earth. The Cavern of Earth is a place we'll be seeing a lot of, especially these first 3 floors. And we're going to see the power of the Barbarian Sword here when we fight this boss here, the vampire. And that was the vampire. So 1-hit kill. So Leno's picking up the Star Ruby here. Star Ruby is needed to feed to a giant who will allow us to continue on to get an item that will allow us to finish this dungeon. There are 2 real fetch quests in this game, about 3 really, but there's 2 really annoying fetch quests in the game. They're both at the very beginning. So once we're done with this, the next 2 or 3 fetch quests aren't nearly so bad. Meanwhile, Kib is getting to Melman, and I come to her Barbarian Sword menu. Buy the steel gloves. There's a very clean menu there. You know, she walked around on those dock tiles. Dock tiles, you cannot get an encounter on them, so it's best to walk on them. Otherwise, she's mostly walking on these marsh tiles for a little while. Marsh tiles have a low encounter rate compared to regular plains tiles. Leno dealing with some shadows. Shadows have about, I believe it's a 7 and 8 chance of giving you a preemptive attack, about a 1 in 8 chance of giving you an ambush. They cannot do a standard attack. So we don't mind them most of the time, but then he runs into a pack of 8 wolves on ambush, so... So he's just choosing to black robe them, or Mage's Staff them. And Kib taking her safety save here on the 3rd floor of the Cavern of Earth. Pisco demons are unrunnable, but more importantly, cockatrices can petrify your party. And on a cockatrice ambush, there is a chance of just having all 4 of your characters petrified, and nothing you can do about it. Leno hand the Star Ruby over to the giant so he can go and visit the sage. So another small optimization you can do that we saw there, whenever you use an item in the item menu, there is an animation for it. But you try to use the item twice, and it's unable to be used a 2nd time, actually cancel that animation. So instead of waiting for that poison antidote animation. If you just double tap antidote, the second time it gives you that nice little sound and ends the animation, lets you move on more quickly. Alright, both getting a key item at the same time, one getting the Star Ruby, one getting the Earth Rod. The Earth Rod will allow Leno to go back to where the vampire was and then pass past a barrier behind where the vampire was and continue to fight our first of our 4 fiends. And Kib actually had a pretty good trip down through the Cavern of Earth, so make up some of that lost time from that menu. And we're about to have ourselves a nice little high five. Oops, wrong emote. Well, they're also using Judgment Staff, so that's the cane. There is a strat to avoid some of the backtracking in this section of the game, but it's a low odds strat. There is a key combination you can do when entering the boat to enter a little hidden mini game with a little 15-piece sliding puzzle. And if you complete that puzzle between 31 seconds and a minute, you do have about a 1 in 6 chance of getting an item called Emergency Exit. And if you get that, then we can use that to leave from the vampire's chambers instantly instead of having to walk back out of the Cavern of Earth. But in races, it's typically not done, and unless you're really grinding hard for PB, we usually don't do it either on regular runs, simply because the odds are not great on it, and it can be frustrating. You just have to restart, 5 out of every 6 runs in the first, 10 minutes. Alright, so Leno's now using that Earth Rod. Get down to the 4th floor of the Cavern of Earth. Cavern of Earth is also the first place we start running into the rare 1 in 64 encounters. In the Cavern of Earth, what we're looking for is ochre jellies or earth elementals. We do keep track of 164 encounters in our tournament dock, just for fun. Leno's been getting a lot of Pisco Demons this run, but little groups of 2 aren't a problem because he already has his Thief and his Warrior set up for an attack. Larger groups we would use the Judgment Staff on. Pisco Demons are unrunnable, and unrunnable encounters are something in this game you just gotta kind of learn which enemies are unrunnable. There is no indicator, like in later games, where if you try to run from a battle you're not allowed to, you might have a prompt that says can't run. That does not exist in this game. Oh, and there's those ochre jellies. It's a 164 encounter there. So memorizing which encounters can be run from which cannot can be difficult. Lenophis is taking a safety save here. Lich does have a chance of casting Blizzara on the first turn, which can just simply wipe out your party with nothing you can do about it. This did happen to me on a race against Kib, where 4 times in a row, so I had to restart 4 times. Fortunately, since the PSP is a mobile system, you are allowed to save anywhere. But gets a picture-perfect fight against Lich. On Kib getting an unfortunate petrification there on the Thief. Kib's strat on these battles is to have everybody but the Black Mage run, have the Black Mage use a Mage's Staff. That way, if the run does not work, it goes ahead and wipes out the enemies. And so Lenophis is past Lich and is going to work its way to Crescent Lake. We're going to do our next item glitch and pick up a key item. Then we're going to do a bit of a sequence break from the intended route. And Kib is flirting with a paralysis lock here. Oh, this could be bad. So she needs the Judgment Staff here. And hopefully the White Mage will get it off before getting hit. You notice, seems like half the attacks are going to the Warrior. That is actually in the design of the game. The character in the top slot gets half the attacks, receives half the attack. Second slot receives 25% of the attacks, and the bottom 2 characters each get 12.5% of the attacks. So, narrowly missed a paralock there, and gets another Cockatrice encounter. Fortunately, the White Mage has the Judgment Staff still equipped. She's going to take care of them. Alright, Leno is getting to Crescent Lake here. He's going to buy himself the Mithril Gloves, and is also going to come and get the Mithril Axe. The Mithril Gloves can be used to make an item called the Lust Dagger, which is a more powerful weapon for our mages, but more importantly, it gives them a very high speed boost. Combined with the black robes he put on there using the Mithril Axe, his mages will have very, very fast turns, which will once again increase our odds of running. Kib also getting an Ochre Jelly encounter. And we need our mages to be able to go quickly, both for making it easier to run in battle, but also in case they do need to cast a spell to wipe out an enemy group, they need to be able to go early in the turn order to speed things up. It will also be useful in an upcoming grind fight. Speaking of the grind, looks like we do have I believe it's the Warrior, is a little higher on health than we'd like to see. Kib gets through Lich no problems. Or there's the Thief, because he puts the Thief in the top slot. So that Thief, we want him below 70 hit points in a little while. So we would have preferred that poison hit the Thief, actually. Leno's on his way into the Cavern of Ice. This is one of the scarier sections of the game. We still have the unrunnable Pisco Demons. We still have cockatrices, which can petrify you. We also have a 1 in 64 chance of running into white dragons, which can cast Ice Storm and wipe the party on an ambush. We have dark wizards, which can ambush and cast Faraga and wipe out the party. We have lots of undead enemies, which can paralyze our party members. We also have the Winter Wolf Ice Gigas encounter, which is unrunnable, and the Winter Wolves can cast Ice Storm, just a less powerful version of the White Dragons. And we have Pisco Demons, who have the chance to, in one shot, paralyze the entire party, and their physical attack has instant death occasionally proc on it. So, Cavern of Ice is scary. Usually in the game you're intended to go fight Merilith at this point, but we're jumping ahead in the sequence, going somewhere where really, even on normal route, you'd be considered difficult to attempt at this point. But we have overpowered items, we can save anywhere, and this allows us to get the airship early and come deal with Merilith later, when it's easier. And this Mind Flayer ambush, this is scary. Okay, the Mind Blast, okay, we got really lucky there. The Mind Blast, if it hit all 4 characters, usually results in a party wipe. Unfortunately, the Black Robes did not finish them off. Alright, Leno gets out of there. He's gonna leave the warrior dead because we actually need him to be dead in just a minute. Grind fight's coming up, so he's not gonna bother reviving him. So Kib is selling a bunch of items to make room in the inventory for put all our items together later, and buying some ethers. So Leno walked around those damage tiles for a minute just to take some hit points off the thief. 61 hit points, that's probably low enough. Oh, Leno gets the white dragon. Fortunately, it was only 1 on the ambush. You can see how dangerous that white dragon is. But that is one more 1 in 64 encounter. And on the plus side, with both the thief and the warrior being dead, no longer have to worry about killing the characters during the grind fight. So in a way, that's a good thing. Oh, gets a scary ambush with cockatrices. If that cockatrice petrifies the white mage, it's game over. And white mage tanks it out. That was super scary. So Leno had a lot of near misses so far here, and another white dragon. Fortunately, this one was not an ambush. Alright. And this is the Evil Eye. This is a spike encounter. Both the Warrior and Thief are dead. We're just going to go right into it and fight. We're going to level up our mages until level 18 here. Kib just took a reset. I did not see what happened on her screen. So you see that this Lust Dagger allows us to just about every time go ahead of the Evil Eye in turn order and one-shot it. It's going to be very, very fast leveling. Kib working her way down. And they're actually both in the same fight right now, but Kib's on his way out, on her way down, while Leno's on his way out. And Leno getting the Ice Giga's Winter Wolf encounter. It's unrunnable. Oh, Kib gets a Dark Wizard ambush. This is a very dangerous encounter. Hoping to flee, and does not. And that is game for Kib. So, Kib loading up a save. Did I mention earlier that the Ice Cavern is scary? Alright, now that Leno is out of the Cavern of Ice, it's going to be a little safer for a little while. Until the next opportunity for enemies to one-shot kill the entire party. But Leno is going to be working his way over to the desert to pick up the airship, now that we have that floatstone. Alright, and here we have Leno getting the airship, skipping this cutscene. and working my way over to the Citadel Trials. The airship is nice because it moves very, very quickly, but, oh, he's actually doing a little different route than most people. He's going to the Desert Caravan first. One thing you learn when trying to watch Leno is he just kind of does his own thing. He always takes a little different route than everybody else. Kibetha's working our way through that grind fight. Leno has picked up the Fairy's Bottle and some Giant's Tonics, which are a safety item for later in the game. And Leno, coming to visit the village of Gaia, released the Fairy from the bottle to pick up Oxyale. Now Leno is heading over to the Citadel Trials. Take a safety save right here because there is a chance of running into a Desert Worm here, who on ambush can cast Earthquake and one-shot kill your entire party. So Kib through her grind, working her way out of the Cavern of Ice. Now, Kib usually goes straight to Citadel Trials, so she's going to make up a little time here, then lose a little bit of it back. So Citadel Trials here begins with a maze. The solution to the maze with the teleporters is always, if there's more than one teleport to go to, take the lower one. That will always get you out. There are two unrunnable encounters here. The Minotaur zombies and the very rare Dragon zombie. That's R164 for here. We also have some nightmares we will be coming across that we typically choose to fight because they're difficult to run from. And we do get experience from them, so there are some spike tiles coming up in a minute where we will be facing them. So here are our nightmares. And we'll be doing a spike tile twice because there is an item we need past the spike tile, and we need to come back through. That healing staff we just picked up will be used to create an item called the Lordly Robes, which will drastically increase our intelligence for our White Mage later in the run, which will allow her to do more damage with item attacks, also allow her to do more healing with the healing spell that we will be picking up in a little while. Also picking up the gauntlets down here. A lot of mind flayers, but no ambush, thankfully. Those gauntlets can be used to cast Thundara for free, and also can be used to create an item called the Golden Staff with a glitch later in the run. And the Rat's Tail will be needed to give to Bahamut the Dragon for our class upgrades. So after this dragon zombie encounter, our characters should all be at level 19. I'm gonna have another little high five here. So Leno's on the walk back to the airship. So it is possible to actually take the boat and go through that river to get to the Citadel Trials. But on average, from testing, we've discovered that on average it is faster to fly the airship here and take the walk, mostly because it allows us to do some optimization in world map movement. Kib making it through the lower section of the early part of the Citadel Trials very quickly. And Leno's going to come up here and visit Bahamut, King of the Dragons. And Kib, getting the rat's tail, very, very quick Citadel Trials for Kib. Leno's now visiting Melman to pick up some spells. So again, doing things in a slightly different order than Kib will be doing them. So, in the previous section and this one, Leno's going to take some slight time loss to Kib on a couple visits, but Kib will be making these same visits later, so it's kind of a wash. So we picked up Healara for the White Mage, and Teleport for the Black Mage, and we're also going to pick up Haste for the Black Mage. Healara, going to be a full party mid-level heal spell. We will be using it extensively in the final battle of the game. Teleport allows us to warp to the previous floor we were on in a dungeon, which and will also take us to the world map from the highest level of a town or a dungeon. So we'll be using it extensively here in a little while. Healara is a healing spell, as we said. And Haste works a little differently than later games. There is no active time battle system in Final Fantasy I. Haste doubles your agility, which essentially doubles the number of hits you get per attack action. So it basically doubles your attack power. And Leno here in Mount Gulg is aiming for these lava tiles as much as possible, because the lava tiles have a 0 encounter rate, even though they do damage. Now, he's probably going to stop somewhere in here and heal in case he gets an ambush by hellhounds. Or, yeah, he's going to do it right here. And having an excellent Mount Gulg. I believe there's only one encounter. Kib having to deal with an unrunnable encounter there. And Leno fighting Merilith, the Fiend of Fire. easily getting through the encounter. Merilith is one of the less dangerous fiends. Carry in the original version of the game. Kib is now picking up the Oxyale. Leno now on his way to the Sunken Shrine. We picked up the Oxyale earlier so we can breathe underwater, so we can visit the Sunken Shrine. And ask everyone to just enjoy the music for a moment here. Right, here in the Sunken Shrine, we do have to worry about several unrunnable encounters. There's not really an incredible number of them, they just have a very high rate of occurrence. Those are the Sahagan Prince, Sahagan Chief encounters, the Water Elementals, and Ghosts. Water Elementals, however, are runnable if they are paired with a Water Naga. And that's one of those things, you just have to know which encounters you can and cannot run from. And Kib about to face Merilith. Now we've gone to the top of the Sunken Shrine here. We need to do that to get a key item called the Rosetta Stone, which will allow us to learn a language a little later for another key item we need to pick up. Fortunately, this floor has no encounters. And now we're going to use Teleport for the first time. Instead of a spell like Exit, which will take us to the world map, Teleport will simply take us to the previous floor. He's using it twice here. And now when we went to the top of the dungeon, now we're going to go to the bottom of the dungeon to find our fiend. On the way, we're going to do another equipment menu. And of course, Kib having no trouble with Merilith. Fairly uneventful fight, typically. She can cast Fyra, which can be dangerous if you don't heal up your party, but that's why we do. Now, Kib is going to grab the spells that Leno grabbed earlier in his route. While Leno's dealing with some ghosts. Just two of them, she's going to attack them. Now, larger ghost encounters. This one that we like to use the Mage's Staff on. Undead enemies are weak to fire. And Kib gonna go land near Onrak to make her way toward the Cavern of Earth. So here, Leno has equipped the ribbons that he picks up a little earlier than other people do. Ribbons gives status immunity and some slight elemental resistance. We're also putting on some survival vests that we're equipping from the light axe we just picked up. The survival vest gives us plus 15 agility. So we're adding 45 agility to all of our characters that have 3 of them equipped. But we don't entirely put those. We don't put those on everybody because we want our mages to still have some magic power. Leno unfortunately tries to run against water elementals. Sometimes you just go on autopilot and try that. So, Leno making a good call there with the black robes. Earlier, that would not have been a possibility to take out the black robes, but having just recently equipped the lordly robes on several characters, they now have extra magic power, and the black robes Blazara cast is powerful enough to take out the water elementals. Kib getting a few more unrunnables on the way to the top of the shrine than Leno had, unfortunately. And Leno is coming up against Kraken. Casually, Kraken can be one of the more dangerous fiends because he hits like a truck with the physical attacks. But with all the stacked armors we have, we're virtually immune to physical attacks. So Kraken's kind of a pushover in this category. So as Leno defeats Kraken, Kib picks up the Rosetta Stone. Is Kib gonna take the kind of new meme-ish 4th floor light axe route? She is not. There is a light axe on the 4th floor, which is technically, I believe, either 2 or 4 steps faster than picking up the light axe later in the dungeon, but the 4th floor has slightly higher encounter rates. So Leno's now making his way to the Waterfall Cavern. The Waterfall Cavern has a very high encounter rate, lots of nightmares which can be difficult to run from, but now that we have survival vests, we should be able to fairly reliably. There's also the rare green dragon, which can be dangerous, and of course, cockatrices and their beefed up cousins, the Pyralisks. And Kib making a way over the light axe. Leno makes his way to the warp cube. So Kib picks up the light axe from the right side of the chest there. That's because that chest does have spike tiles in the front and to the left of it. So she picks it on the right. Those Pyralisks can be very dangerous. They can instantly kill your characters. But does escape. Oh, Kib accidentally puts lordly robes on the armor slot of the white mage, and she realizes, okay, you do not want lordly robes on the actual armor slot. The lordly robes do have a regen stat attached to them, which will cause a regeneration animation every turn if you have them equipped on the armor slot. So Leno picked the warp cube and is going to teleport out of the cavern. Kib will pick up the warp cube and the ribbon at that point. There's a ribbon in one of the chests here. And yes, both Leno and Kib have also been commentators for this run. And it's funny, the three of us have pretty much gone back and forth a lot along with a couple other commentators. But I think on all of our races, Kib, Leno, and myself, one of the three of us has been on the commentary team. At least one of us has been on the commentary team for the other runner. Well, actually, exactly one of us. So this particular race is a little high stakes for Leno. If Leno wins, he moves on in the tournament. If he loses, if he has does not have a better average time than I do, he will not move on. Currently, our average time on the race is actually tied to the second. So it all comes down to if he wins this race, and if he loses by what time he has if he loses. Kib has won all three of her first races and is guaranteed a spot in the bracket phase of the tournament. So these Minotaur zombies are unrunnable, so Leno's going to go ahead and use the gauntlets here. So Leno's routing is slightly different with what mage he powers up. He puts a lot of magic items and uses them with Black Mage, whereas Kib will be using the White Mage for most of the magic attacks. Now that he has learned Lufinian, Leno's going to come in here and get past all the NPCs. No one blocked him. Pick up the Chime, which will allow him to enter Mirage Tower, which is the first of two small dungeons on the way to Tiamat. So Final Fantasy 1 feels very trolly to a lot of players because they give you this airship which allows you to travel around the world without encounters very quickly, but every spot you're required to take the airship, the landing spots are very far from your goal, so you're still walking a lot. Attempting a safety save before the spike encounter, which can sometimes be very, very bad. You get ambushed by that group, it can wipe your party. And as Lena works her way through Mirage Tower, you'll notice you might get a lot of encounters. It's a very, very high encounter area of the game. There is only one unrunnable encounter here, and that is the Blue Dragon. It's a 1 in 64 chance, other than the one that will be on a spike tile that we will definitely fight. Meanwhile, Kib is making her way toward Melman to learn Lufinian. And so this Blue Dragon is a required battle. Very easy one. And now he's going to use that Warp Cube we picked up from the Waterfall Cavern to work our way up to the Flying Fortress. The Evil Eye here is an unrunnable encounter. It's the same encounter we had for the grind fight earlier. And there is a rare 1 in 64 encounter on the top floor of this dungeon that we are all hoping to see. We get a little Warmech hype in chat if we can. Kib had a little trouble with NPCs, but not too bad. Teleport out and work our way toward the Mirage Tower. Leno healing everybody up. And it is not a Warmech. This is the only floor where the Warmech can appear in this category. It's a 1 in 64 on a fairly low encounter floor. We've seen one, I believe, so far this tournament. And Lenophis has gotten through Tiamat, the fourth of the 4 fiends. Tiamat does have a chance of casting a high damage Thunderbolt attack, but from full hit points that should not wipe the party. So at this point, Kib is pretty far behind, so we're hoping she can have a good Mirage Tower, Flying Fortress, and Chaos Shrine to get caught up a little bit. And so Leno is now on his way to the final dungeon of the game, the Chaos Shrine, which you may recognize when we get here. There's also the first dungeon of the game. So when you walk in here on the PSP version, you see this very helpful NPC walks over and shows you, hey, you need to come over here and walk this direction. If you're trying to do just an 80% speedrun of the game, you do not want to walk that direction, because that is not taking you to the end of the game. That's taking you to the PSP exclusive bonus dungeon, and it is a very long dungeon with some very, very, very difficult enemies, including Chronodia. So the Labyrinth of Time has lots of puzzles and enemies. It's very difficult. Instead, you just walk right over here to the crystal and take a step in. Taking a safety save here, there are some enemies here, notably the white dragons, that can wipe out your party. Because white dragons, even this much later in the game, are still a major threat. These green dragons are unrunnable, but they are weak to the black robes. So this is where picking up all the items of just using the Judgment Staff really pays off. Because there's lots of different enemy groups who can die to fast animations if you know what they're weak to. The Judgment Staff will kill any of them, but it does take time to cast. And Kib had a pretty good run there to get to Tiamat, so... Coming up on the fight. Fortunately, cast Healar instead of teleport. I think we all made that mistake there, too. Accidentally teleported away from the floor. Lenophis playing the loot that we picked up from the princess at the very beginning of the game. Unlike the original version of Final Fantasy, you cannot skip the loot. If you try to walk away from her at the beginning of the game, she actually calls you back to receive it from her. Ooh, and Tiamat does cast Thunderbolt there, takes out the Black Mage, who is very low on health at this point in the game. That's not a good sign. And not doing great on Leno's side either with health. We're going to need, probably going to have to use Giant's Tonics to increase the health point pools of our Black Mage and Ninja in the final battle. Alright, so this is the last floor. We got to worry about the white dragons on Leno's screen. It was not an ambush, so it should be fine. Let's probably take a safety save here and do some healing. This is our first point where we're going to be doing some boss refights. Final Fantasy Mega Man Edition. And Lich does, once again, is the most dangerous of the four fiends, can cast Flare here. And does. Let's see who survives. White Mage should be fine. And Warrior, so that should be okay. Yeah, Kib throwing this match so Leno can get past me in the standings. We all know how it is. No, actually Leno's pace right now, he's gonna beat the time he would have to even if he lost. Because he has 10 minutes before he would have to win, and he is well ahead of that pace. So, I think even if Kib miraculously wins here, unless something absolutely unforeseen happens to Leno, he should be moving on the tournament. And Leno having to deal with some water elementals. They are unrunnable still. And Leno on the Kraken refight. And Kib having to take a reset. And Leno here at the final of our refights up against Tiamat. Alright, and Leno is done with random battles. Going to do a final menu here. Going to put Barbarian Sword on the Black Mage, as well as a bunch of survival vests. Meanwhile, put a bunch of Lordly Robes and probably a Golden Staff on the White Mage. Like skipping the Golden Staff, possibly. Okay, just realized what I did. Okay. So here in the Chaos fight, we had to worry mostly about high-level magic attacks from Garland. Because of that, we had to worry about hit point pools for our Ninja and our Black Wizard. Every turn, our White Mage will be healing. We actually equipped items on her specifically to slow her down and increase her magic power. We want her to go last every turn, because we never want Chaos attacking twice in a row without a full party heal between them. So we're going to be using Giant's Tonic on our Black Mage, and I don't see if we're putting one on our Ninja or not. Does not look like it. So the Giant's Tonics will increase our hit point pools by 200 for the duration of one battle. So we do not want to see her from Chaos. He opened Blades. We do not want to see him followed up with Tsunami and Whirlwind. Or Tornado, rather. And it is Tsunami. Will the ninja survive? Ooh, barely. Now that all three of our non-healing party members are hasted, we'll be spending the rest of the battle attacking with those three and healing with the White Mage. And it looks like Chaos got out of his magic cycle, so we're probably good. Just gonna hold X to win strats here. Congratulations, Leno.
Hello. Thank you.
You actually just won, as I was saying. Congratulations.
Ooh.
So
that ice cave. That was the most brutal thing I have experienced in quite a while.
yeah, you had 2 white dragons there. You also had ochre jellies in the Cavern of Earth. So that's 3 164 encounters you had. But yeah, that
actually the ochre jelly was not the one in 64 on that floor.
You actually that's
the earth elemental on that last floor.
Oh. So looks like my voice is going through your stream. Is there any way you could mute that? Yeah, you had 2 white dragons there. You also had ochre jellies.
It is done
in the Cavern of Earth. So that's 3 164 encounters you had. But yeah, I'm giving that a second for that to catch up.
Okay. No problem.
But yeah, overall though, you had that rough Cavern of Earth. You had looks like my voice is going through your stream. Is there rough any way you could early game, but then you but then you actually pulled out time not too far from your PB. Really, if it weren't for that early game in the Cavern of Ice, you might have PB'd on that.
Yeah, my PB is 130.07. This category, I mean, this route that I'm doing is a 131 something.
Yeah. So yeah, your late game went really well.
I feel it did. I was hoping for that Warmech encounter to just kind of icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah. Kib had a lot of trouble in the early game, and then a lot more after that. The game has not been super kind today. But with the time you had, I mean, even if you had lost this race, you still would be moving on the tournament. You had to beat a 136.50 because we were tied to the second previously on average time.
We were.
Which was very exciting. But yeah, so you just went ahead and made sure that there was no way for you not to move on.
I mean, the way this early game started out, like, you know what? There's no way I'm going to beat Kib today. I mean, there's no way I'm going to advance. The way this run started out, the way this race started out.
Oh,
it was
Kib with a stone golem. Yeah, Kib's game started kind of rough when she forgot to do the Judgment Staff menu before Garland. And fought Garland with knives.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Yeah, and then she accidentally got herself in a position in a bad spot with having accidentally equipping the Mithril Hammer on the White Mage and having sold some other items and making it very difficult to get the hammer off of the White Mage to continue the Thieves Armlet menu. So it lost probably a minute and 90 seconds to that. So Kib's early game went really rough. Then she had to reset twice in the Ice Cave, once in Chaos Shrine that I saw. Kib's had a rough go of it today.
It sounds like it. Did she get any of the? Did she get any double dragons? Oh, hi, double.
Yeah. Yeah, your double dragons were scary.
To say the least. That ambush on my way to the evil eye, I'm like, all right, hoping I survive. Hoping I survive.
Yeah, but it actually worked out well because it took out your thief for you. So it made the grind fight easier. Okay, it looks like Kib is getting to the chaos fight here, so let's see how this goes for her.
All right. So let's see here. That's a white dragon encounter. That's a green dragon encounter. I thought I was getting all the 1 in 64s today. This just started rough.
Yeah, you had the ochre jelly.
I'll have to double check to make sure that wasn't actually the 1 in 64, but it might have been. So, actually,
no, I think you got in the last one. I don't think it's 164 there. It's because the fire elemental there, or the earth elemental.
Yeah.
Kib had the 164 one, I think.
Really? What'd she get?
Ochre jelly, and I think she just had stone golem. Aren't those 164?
Stone golem is not. It's the iron golem.
Iron golem. Okay, that's right.
All right, so ochre jelly for Kib.
And so far so good on Kib's side. Opening with a blaze. Black Mage barely survived. Also, this is our first low hit point Banzai with 193 coming in.
Oh,
so
wow.
Banzai strats apparently have just ended. That's how bad this run was.
I'll say.
Oh, and Tsunami is coming along, so I think we might be losing our Black Mage here. It's going to be close.
Oh, no.
12 hit points left. And
Rune Staff strat. Did she get a Rune Staff drop from Tiamat?
I believe... Yes, she did. And using
wow.
it. Yeah. Double up with that healing. Rune Staff does cast Healer as well.
Yes, it does.
If we could get it earlier than Tiamat, we might pick one up.
It's a shame you can't. I think the only other available spot is one of the shops in the Shrine of Chaos, or the Soul of Chaos dungeons. Whisperwind, maybe?
I believe you're correct. And then the item you glitch for it is one of the ultimate shields you get from the Labyrinth of Time. So,
I mean, if you want to fight Orthros in Whisperwind, you can to get it, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Alrighty. And looks like Kib's gonna be doing okay here. And there she goes. So Kib with a SRL time of 1:39:27, and you with your time of 1:32:24. So GG to both of you. We'll go ahead and get her in here for the interview.
I know the chat can't see this, but she is making this the contention for a worst run of her life, and that includes Jacobo Hot and Cold from Final Fantasy IX. Is it really that bad?
Yeah, the SRL chat, for those of you who can't see it, she has been quite humorous in there.
Just going to go ahead and input these times.
Yeah. Well, Kib, that was an amazing run.
Hello.
Hi, Kib.
I don't really want to exist right now.
I'm sorry, Kib.
Man, that Garland fight at the beginning just had... I just set the tone for the whole thing for you, didn't it?
Yep. Oh my god. I completely forgot, just everything. I forgot how to do the Knight's Armor menu and just stared at that for 10 30 seconds. I was like, oh,
Thieves Armament
okay.
one? Yeah,
I've got a
Thieves Armament
30-second problem now. I need to catch up. I need to go fast. And then just completely forgot the leather gap menu.
The Thieves Armament menu, you paused there. I wonder if your stream had dropped or something.
No, I just my brain didn't want to work for like half an hour into the run. I just kept like completely spacing out and being like, where am I? What am I doing? What is Final Fantasy? What are these creatures in front of me and what are they doing? I meant to be killing someone? What? Oh, wow, that was fun.
Well, the fun thing on my end is, Leno had a really good time with 132.22.
Yeah, GG, Leno.
So,
Thank you.
he would have moved on with or without your, apparently throwing the match for him.
Oh, that happened. That proper happened. And the thing is, it could have been a really good run. I had some really good bits of RNG where I was like, where did all the encounters go? Have I accidentally cheated? But like, and then in between, it just really wasn't. Really wasn't.
I think I had just the one stretch of good RNG, and that was in Water Floor in Final Dungeon, where I think I had just the one battle.
Oh no, I had like 4 of those.
Ouch.
Yeah, at some point, like, Kib looked like she actually might have a chance to catch up in the Cavern of Ice there, and then things happened.
I don't even know what you do if you survive Firaga. I was like, I don't know what one-shot them. And usually we can run away from them, so...
Just popping in here to say that those rune staff strats are amazing, Kib. Good job.
Thank you! I thought I might as well get something out of it.
Pog champ.
That is Double for everybody. As a Double Drop just joined us. Double is known for the Double Dragons, so
which their
Kib.
ugly head.
It's
no,
okay.
I was the one that got
the Double Dragons. I beat the Double Dragons by saving just beforehand and saying, you know what? I have a reset button. Suckers!
All right.
They actually got the drop on me, but thankfully did not completely wipe me out.
Twice.
I didn't wait around to see.
You guys, I think you guys queued in for Ice Cavern Savage instead of Ice Cavern Normal by mistake.
Yeah, looks like it.
But do want to go ahead and say congratulations to both of you for moving on to the bracket phase of the tournament, and the third person in your group, that loser's done.
Shin, I feel like I should sacrifice my place to you for that absolute heinous atrocity of a run.
Well,
I don't feel like congratulations are in order, but GG to Leno! And GG to Shin for having been a really good competitor who's better than me.
Yeah. But I'll be sticking around. I'm sure all of us will still be watching the tournament. I do want to go ahead and see if you guys have any shout-outs you want to give out.
Shout-outs to 1 in 64 encounters.
Shout outs to Warmech, who still won't return my calls. Like, what went wrong, Warmech? I thought we had
to the rare rune stuff drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know how I got a rune stuff, but like I saw it in the glitch menu. I was like, "What's that?" Oh, okay, then I'll try that.
You got the rare drop from Tiamat too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That was really neat seeing you do that strat. But yeah, well, I want to thank you guys so much for competing with me for the last couple of weeks, and I want to thank Speed Gaming for hosting us, all the viewers for watching us. A few of our organizers, I think deserve some real credit. Poor Scythe, definitely not Leno because he beat me today.
Yeah, Leno sucks. We all hate Leno.
Wow, savage.
Hey, by the way, Leno, if you need my address again for the money you're gonna send my way, I'll give it to you after the stream.
I'll PayPal that out tonight.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and let Speed Gaming have their channel back. Get our lack of professionalism out of here. And I want to thank everyone for joining in tonight. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Everybody, watch from home. Make sure you go ahead and follow our runners, Lenophis
Please don't.
and Kibetha.
Please don't.
Go ahead and also make sure you subscribe to the Speed Gaming channels. You get lots of fun little emotes. And otherwise, have yourselves a wonderful evening.
Good
Also,
night,
make
everyone.
sure you follow that commentator Shin.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good. He's all right.
All right. Good night, guys.
Night.